The family is coming, right? There was a question for a while just because, it's still really hard. But they are coming. We want to give them opportunity to get here. And so while we do that, while we wait a little bit, we'll probably, we want to respect your time, so we won't wait forever and ever, but we'll give it maybe till like 7:10, 7:15, if that's okay with all of you. Okay. So Melvin, this is Melvin. He's one of our elders here. He's just going to be playing in the background. And when we get ready to go and start, what we're going to do, what this is very toned down, I guess, because as is obvious here, Reidland was loved, not just in Gainesville, though, but he spent years in Orlando and years in Miami and Tampa. And so if you all don't know, for some of you who I've never met, it is a little hard to get information out to you. I don't mind if you want to, give me your number or something at the end, and I can try to keep in touch with you. But as of now, the most up-to-date information on the celebration of life, which will be much bigger and like the real, if you will, memorial service, is going to happen June 25th in Orlando. It's at a church called the Spring Meadows SDA Church. And the reason it's there is for a few reasons. One, it's central.
Get back in.
Miami can come, Tampa, obviously Orlando, and us. The other thing is we are anticipating at that, based on the amount of people reading that we literally wouldn't be able to hold people who would come. And so there's a few reasons for that. Go ahead, put it on your calendars, right? June 25th at 5 p.m. So June 25th, 5 p.m. In Orlando, the Spring Meadows Seventh-day Adventist Church. And so when we start this here, what I'd like to do, right, is there are many of us who have stories, right? And so we are planning to go until about 8:30. And we're going to have my wife here, Raquel, and then Aram, who's going to help us. We're just going to go as you want to share. You just kind of say, hey, I got a story to tell. I have a few funny ones myself, moments with Reidland. And so if you have something that you want to share, a tribute even, like I said, Sherry Lynn and the family will be here shortly. And we'll have a video, if we can get it to work, to play a little bit later as well. But when we go ahead and start, and I'll come back up and we'll pray, and we'll just start with the mics going around. When that time comes, as you feel something, inspired to say something as part of your grieving process, just go ahead and let us know, and we're going to get one of these mics to you, all right? So for those of you who are just coming in, I was letting everybody know we were supposed to start at 7, but Sherry Lynn is on her way, and the family's on the way, so we want to give them time to be here. So Melvin, one of our elders, is just going to kind of keep playing for now. And I will let you know this is also a recorded. There are people who wanted to be here who couldn't be here, so we're streaming this. Just so you know, it's a recorded event. Just keep that in the back of your mind. But I will come back in about 10 minutes, and we will commence. Thank you.
right. Hello, everybody. For those of you who have just come in, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ben Curette. I'm the pastor here at the Gainesville SDA Church. Thanks for being here. This is hard. It's been very hard for our church. As some of you who have worked with Reidland or know Reidland, you know that probably wherever he is, he's a pillar of that community, and he definitely was here. This is something that's just completely shaken our church. But we have hope, right? We believe that we will see Reidland again, that this is not a goodbye, but rather a see you later. That's something my dad always used to say. I was up here earlier, and I said, we were supposed to start at 7. I said, we're going to give them like 10, 15 minutes, the family, because Sherry Lynn and Reidland's family are coming. We said, give them a little bit of time. I just found out that they're coming from Sherry Lynn's house. I don't know if you guys have ever been out there, but it's kind of far. It's not 10 or 15 minutes away. So what I thought we'd do, if that's okay with you, we just go ahead and get started. And so what we'd like to just do today, and also if you need tissues or anything, we have some in the back there on that table, I believe. So at any point, just kind of go and grab those, feel free. Bathrooms, also, if you come out of this room to the left, you'll find them there. What we're going to do today, I'm going to start with a prayer to kind of open up time, and then I stole one of the mics from my wife here, but what they're going to do, they're going to each take a side, right? And as you feel impressed, that's what we'd like to do today, just kind of open up that space to share a favorite memory, something funny that happened, or something that Reidland did that really made an impact on you and your life, right? So, we're not necessarily putting a time limit like some places would, but also, there are a lot of people here who do want to say something too, so just keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and start with a prayer to kind of open up the time, and I'm going to give the mic back, and whoever would like to, you just kind of raise your hand and go. There'll be, hopefully, if we can get it to work, a video later, and then also time as you leave to kind of give your condolences to Sherry Lynn and the family when they get here. But let's all bow our heads, humble ourselves. Our most kind and heavenly Father, God, this has been a really, really hard couple of days for me, and I know everybody here. God, there's a verse that I've really been jumping towards in the last few days that says in the book of Psalms that you draw near to those who are brokenhearted. And God, I pray that we would feel that closeness. God, that we would feel that peace that comes with that closeness and that protection. Because, God, it doesn't necessarily feel like it right now. God, we ask continued blessings and peace to be with Sherry Lynn and to be with the rest of the Brady family. Lord, please cover them with grace as they drive here. God, protect their car with angels that they get here okay. God, please be with us as we kind of go through the grieving process. God, as we share stories and moments, core memories that we have, may it aid in our healing. God, I pray for everyone here, those who I know, those who I don't know. God, please bless them and their families. God, please draw near to them, I pray. In your name, amen. All right, so as you would like, please just go ahead and raise your hand, and somebody will come to you quickly with a mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Claude Redgard. I'm a teacher, retired. And I try to go back how long I've known or met Reidland. That's about 4 years ago. I'm not quite sure. I can't too backwards too often. But it was him and his wife, and it was Sherilyn, and she was giving a cook presentation. I think she's a nutritionist. I'm not sure what her profession is. I think it's nutrition. OP, okay, occupational therapist, okay. And so she was teaching us how to make our own food and what's in the gymnasium there. And one thing I do remember or taken away from what she mentioned was the choice of peppers. She mentioned about cayenne pepper, the red pepper, and the black pepper, and how it reacts with the body when we take it, and some other things, preparing breakfast and that sort of thing. And then Reidland was right beside her, supporting his wife as she did this presentation. And it's usually very warm, you know, to see husband and wife in these things supporting each other. We know that he was was it occupational therapist? No? Physical therapist? Yeah, he mentioned it right up there. And you know, one of the things that really got me was that here is Reidland gave this nice presentation. It was 4 days, and it was it finished on Thursday, and Friday and Sabbath. Got to see him on Sabbath. Don't remember what date that was, but that was the last time I saw Reidland. And then here's my wife, and she works quite away from home, and then she called me to give me this news, and I said, "What? I didn't hear that right." And I say, "What?" And then the tears start flowing. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't hold myself. And then I came to church and I saw that my whole church is cast in mourning, and we are still in the mourning process. So to all of you, I know you either have heard of Reidland or knew him personally. May the Lord hold you real tight in the hollow of his hand as we go through this mourning process. Thank you very much.
My name's Alex. I haven't known Reidland for a very long time. We met a couple years back. I had just gotten back in the country and went over to my sister's house, and there were, Reidland and Sherry, and we got talking. They hit it off right away, and since then we've hung out, a lot of times, did a lot of different exercise stuff, and always were active together. And just recently, we were at a friend's birthday party when we found some musical instruments and just started having like a great time playing some music. He was on the guitar, I was on some drums, and just had a really lovely time just playing music and singing. And we were helping some other friends move also just a few weeks back. And I got the news on Saturday a week ago, and I couldn't believe it. And the fact that another young person just suddenly dies, and it's something that is very close to my heart, and I know all of our hearts. And that the memory I'm gonna have with me for forever is gonna be of Reidland being active and just loving life, and every his smile and the joy that he loved to bring to people's lives.
Oh, yes.
Hey, I'm Josh. I've known Reidland for a few years now. Last time we met was like in 2019, and then we went through the whole service with his wife Sherry Lynn, they were actually talking about the whole chat thing that they just made in 2019, and then in 2020, since COVID, it blew all of us. I've even heard Reidland do his special music. Now in 2021, I'm here. I'm actually here, seeing Reidland right now and saying hello. How you doing? And then over the past few years, in 2022, which is right here, Reidland was actually a friend of mine. He even made jokes with me. We even made the secret handshake. As I was saying, he even did the whole presentation about health, and then start from Sunday through Thursday. Then this Saturday, I didn't even know who was doing special music over a couple of weeks, and then I saw Reidland and Sherry Lind. Their special music was actually lovely. And then on the first day of June, when I heard the horrible news, it shocked me. It even shocked everyone. So, Reidland, sorry. We're hoping to see you again.
So Reidland was very close to me. There's so many different memories. I've known Sherry and Reidland for 4 years now, going on to 5 years. There's so many different memories I can share. One that was popped in my head a while ago was the one time I told a children's story, I think it was like 3 years ago, about the stomach. I'm sure you guys probably remember, a lot of you guys in here remember that children's story. But that was the first time I told it, and it was ironic because that week Reidland was preaching the first time, and his sermon was also about that, about like health and eating healthy and stuff like that. So after I told the children's story, I was sitting over there, and he was on stage, and then he made a reference to the story about the stomach and the stepmother, and then he went like that and like pointed to me, and I like pointed back, and it was funny because it was like a little connection that we had. But even before that, we did a lot of stuff. We hung out together. We had potlucks and stuff like that. One time I did a potluck at my apartment, and Sherry and Reidland came and a bunch of other people, and you did like international food, and we were listening to like gospel music and sharing memories and stuff like that about church and some of the songs that we've done. And I know there was a time where we talked about doing a song. We wanted to do the song By and By at church. Reidland and Sherry had talked about it, and every time we got around each other again, we're like, oh, we need to do that song, oh, we need to do that song, oh, we need to do that song. But things kept happening. We never got around to practicing it and doing it. And now I kind of look back wishing that I didn't just keep putting it off. And I think the most important thing from this is to know that you should value those who you love. Value your friends, value everybody. If you make plans with them, if you have something that you wanted to do, you need to do it. And don't keep putting it off, because you don't know when you will see that person, if you will ever see that person ever again. My last memory of him was at his house. 4 weeks ago, we had a potluck at his house, and I'd helped Reidland and Sherry move in the year before, and like helped him install his refrigerator and everything. And we were talking about different things he could do because they had just moved to the country, and I was giving them advice on things that we can do, or that he could do in the yard. And we talked about lawnmowers, and I gave him a list of different mowers that he could buy, and checked in on him after he bought it and everything. And so, it was just like that. We had a friendship. Like, we would talk about different things, buying a house, what do you need to do to buy a house, like like the last time we were there, we were sitting around a group of us and we were talking about like what to do, don't get HOAs and don't do this and don't do, all the different things. Like he was like a big brother. He was like a big brother. He gave me advice, he was always there. And it was just, I was at work on the computer doing some virtual, I was in a meeting actually when I got the text message about it, and I was shocked out of my mind because I'd just seen him like 3 weeks before. And I had to track down, I called a few people around tracking down, trying to find out, what had happened. And it's just so shocking and unbelievable that something like this can happen to someone who's so young and close to my age. So it's hit me really hard. And I just, I pray for Sherry. I haven't seen her yet. I don't know if she's here. But I want to see her, and, I want her to know that, we do care and her friends are there and we love her. And this is just devastating for all of us. So just keep praying, and, we'll try our best, and everyone will be there.
I didn't know Reidland for that very long. I met him, I think, Campus Church Fall. Yeah, Campus Church Fall. But I think what I'm going to remember most about him is the way he preached. Reidland used to say that he didn't like to preach, he liked to teach. And he really, really did. I remember even the sermon he was preaching about at Campus Church was about salt and the different meanings in the Bible, how he was very attentive to how everything like correlates together beautifully. And I think what most of us maybe could remember about him and learn of him was how much he loved his God, and he made him personal to him. You could see it through his life. And I just want Sherry and the family to know that we're very loved, and like Joseph said, to remember that, to value everybody we have in our lives, because you never know when you're going to see them again or when you won't.
So one thing I liked about Reidland and also was not too fond of, and I have to say this because I'm new to the state of Florida. I am from North, New England area, so Florida's wildlife doesn't suit my fancy, but I appreciated his patience in showing me Florida's wildlife. So for those of you who are familiar, our church has a camp called Camp Kalakwa. And I just remember this particular day was camp meeting. We went to camp meeting, my husband and I, and we go to what they call as the zoo. Yes, there is a zoo on our campground. We're that cool. And so go in, and there's like a nature center up front. And again, I do not like wildlife. I can tolerate, do not like it. And I was not aware that there were snakes in cages, but there were snakes in there. And so it just so happened one of the people, they had taken out the snake, I guess, to show it to somebody, but I turned around and I come face to face with the snake and did not know. So I mini scream, and I run out, and I'm like, okay, we're done. Forget the zoo, forget everything. Let's leave, we're done. So we meet up with Sherry Lynn and Reidland, and they're like, oh, so did you see the zoo? And we're like, you didn't warn us that there were snakes. They're like, no, there's lions and tigers. And I was like, no, there's snakes. And so Reidland, in his patience, dealing with my foolishness, yes, proceeds to walk with us and accompany us through the snake forest. Lack of better terms, they're all in cages now. I was fine. But I got to see and experience the zoo. Like I said, what I don't appreciate is the wildlife. I do struggle with that a little bit. But what I do appreciate and I remember the most is just his patience. His patience in wanting to just let everybody explore and experience what he experiences, whether it comes from experiencing God in his teaching, or whether it is his appreciation for nature and wildlife, or his passion for Haitian rice. I do appreciate and remember that most. And I think what I want to take from it is not just to appreciate people while they're here, but also to experience life to the fullest and not to let fears hold me back. So, yeah.
Hi, everybody. I didn't know if I'd be able to make it here today, but here I am. I just wanted to say that I saw Reidland not this past Thursday, but the previous Thursday, right before my surgery. And he was on day 4 of his Pathways to Health presentation. I had just finished work and I was getting ready to leave. And I saw him going by. So I stopped him and I was like, Reidland, I just realized this is going to be my last time seeing you before my surgery. And he gave me a big hug and he was like, oh, you'll be fine. You know, God's got this. And when you're done, we'll get you up and going and good as new. That was my last interaction with him. Reidland has always made a huge impression on me because he has a way of making everyone feel included. He makes everyone feel like he has a special bond with you specifically. And I believe genuinely that his connections that he makes are very genuine connections. I do not mourn for Reidland because I honestly do believe Reidland will be in heaven. And he is no longer has to worry about with what we have to worry about. He's able to finally rest. He's able to be free. And he no longer has to worry. What I do mourn for is his lack of presence. That I mourn for us. I mourn for us losing someone so profound. And I think that's actually the name of his ministries, Profound Meditations. But yeah, I've learned from Reidland that to make every connection count, make every connection special, to build bonds with people because we're all God's children and we can. So that is the thing that I wanted to share. And thank you for taking the time to listen.
This whole section of people is his rehab family. Whew. I remember talking to Sherry Lynn on the phone. I'm an occupational therapist, and so is she. And I was in a supervisory position at the time. And they were going to take their first traveling job. Well, you know, they were from down in Orlando, and they needed to pay off their student loan debt, and so they were going to start traveling. So I interviewed Sherry Lynn on the telephone, and she was delightful, and she was awesome with her experience. She was exactly what we needed. And then she tells me she has a husband who's a PT. And I said, what? So she said, yes, he's a PT, and he can do just about everything. Of course, Sherry Lynn and Reidland they're just amazing. But she says, yeah, he can do ortho and neuro, and he's done a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I was like, hold on a second. I can't believe this, because we needed a PT and an OT. And we get it in this beautiful couple. So I hung up the phone, and I called my supervisor, who is Susan, and I said, you're not going to believe this. There's an OT and a PT, and they want to travel, and they're husband and wife, and can we please have them in the same center? So we needed them both at Magnolia Park, and that's where he's been working for the last, year or so. We've had him here as long as you guys have known him here in Gainesville for 4 years. I think we're probably responsible for him coming here, but I don't know that for sure. But we are so lucky to have known him, and he brought so much joy to our rehab family. I really wanted to wear a towel around my neck. I don't know if he did that here, but he wore a towel around his neck every day at work, and everybody was like, hey, Reidland, you cold or what? He would keep his neck warm with the towel. But he made everybody laugh. He brought light and beautiful optimism to our rehab family. The beauty of this couple is they can do just about anything. It's, obviously they are awesome in their church family. They were awesome in the rehab family. Sherry Lynn worked at Medical Plaza, Magnolia Park, Fix-El Center. They really could do just about anything. Reidland worked at all of our centers, I think, at some point or another, but he landed at Magnolia Park, which is where I am a supervisor, and Ludo is his supervisor. So it came as a shock to us too. In 35 years of being an OT, I've never lost a colleague like that. And our entire team has been, mourning and hurting this whole entire time. So we too hurt for Sherry. She's also part of our rehab family, so we feel like we've had a double whammy, as you guys have, because, they're in your church family. So I want to thank you guys for the beautiful church family you are to them, and know that they're loved as much in the rehab family as they are in their church family. So we're going to miss him terribly.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to add to how awesome Reidland was. Like you said, he could do anything. I remember Sherilyn telling me this. So we here are his tennis family. He used to play tennis. And I can tell you that when we heard about it, all of us were in shock. I remember talking to a few of my teammates here outside in the parking lot, just trying to digest the whole news. But to add to the fact as to how awesome he was, Sherilyn once told me that Reidland had never picked up a tennis racket in his life. And he picked it up in no time. And he jumped levels in no time. And Sherilyn was telling me, Jigisha, I have been trying to learn tennis. And I thought we'll do it together, but he went leaps and bounds ahead of me, and the same thing happened with golf. So she again came to me and she's like, guess what? He picked up golf and he's good at that too. So she was like, I don't know what he is not good at. I'm very proud that I'm his wife, but I also have to compare myself to him sometimes, which I think I should stop doing. Because whatever he picked up, he excelled at it in no time. When we play tennis, you get competitive when you're playing against someone. Reidland, even if he's beating you, you cannot get mad at that person. You just cannot get mad at him. He'll be smiling, he'll come in and give you a high five in the middle of the point. I mean, like just when a point gets over in the middle of a game, he'll give you a high five, like, what a point that was. And I'm like, how can I get mad at you? You know, you're beating me, but we're having a lot of fun. He knew how to have fun. He knew how to bring smile on everybody's face in and around him. I remember his big black bag, his big black jug of water, he walking in with a big smile on his face and just saying hello to everybody, talking, how are you, and then getting onto the court like he owned it. Right now, all I want to do is give Sherilyn a big hug and say that she was very, very lucky to have him for as much time as she did, and know that he's going to be with her forever, come what may. We're going to miss his presence. We're going to miss that smile on the court. We're going to remember him forever. And I hope he stays in all of our memories forever. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I was not here this morning, but I was tested 2 times negative. So I drove at 7:10 when you started the YouTube for 30 minutes to be able to catch up for this last time here in our church. Reidland was here with us for 4 years, and so he was with Pastor Grasso and then Pastor Ben. The longest time that I spoke with Reidland heart to heart was the transition between Pastor Grasso and Pastor Ben. I suggested on him that, Reidland, why can you not apply to be our church pastor with Sherilyn? You're the perfect couple to take over Pastor Grasso, since we don't have any idea on who is going to be our pastor. For the last 2 years, you've been with us. You've been preaching so good. My kids were able to see him preach and take notes on every detail that he wanted to impart it to us. And he was lightened up, and he was so happy to hear that. And he even said that, I think I applied, but because I was not credentialed to be that, he was not able to be accepted. But I said, maybe you can get your credentials, and in a few years, you will be able to be one. I said, yeah, that's a positive thing. That is the impression that I got from Reidland, that he was a heaven sent for this Gainesville church. And after that, Pastor Ben was ordained as one of our pastors, and we are so happy to have him too. And Reidland became the secondary of defense for this church if Pastor Ben is not around. And then the other guy, the son of Miss Joanne, Matthew. With the 4 years that Reidland was here, on the other hand, he's been very active in the volleyball team. With Miss Felicia, we've been playing every night that there's a volleyball social at the gym. We even went to the VA park also to play, because we're trying to prepare ourselves to be playing at Kamkalakwa once a year or twice a year. And we have a really great team. The last time we played was in Kamkalakwa, last April. And for the first time for 4 years, we were able to win the Brazilians and Puerto Ricans playing against Gainesville. For the first time that we have to, at first we were setting back because we were not able to find the right numbers of team. We were just Miss Sherilyn, myself, Reidland. So we were looking for the Gainesville people around Kamkalakwa until 10, we were able to make a team, and we played until 11:30. And we were supposed to play, continue, because we are supposed to play more, but our age does not warrant for a long time of playing. So we came home like at 12, we head back. He played a coach, a friend, a brother, and whatever we can call him. He is a wonderful person. A few days ago, I went to UF Rehab. I spoke to the person that took care of me, that if he know about Reidland, because just one business, even if he's assigned in Magnolia, and she said that he is the most wonderful person that I've ever worked, never complained, always positive, and always give everybody a smile. The same with Sherlyn. They are going anywhere, back and forth on different clinics. He touched hearts in hundreds, in thousands fold, and in any way, I cannot say anything bad about him and Sherlyn. I hope that his life has been longer so that he can still show us and as an inspiration. But God has his own way. Maybe it strengthens us. It gives us an inspiration that we are still here and make him as our example, that we can be a better person too. It's like Reidland has Jesus in him, and he's been an inspiration, and may we become like him too, just like Jesus.
My name is Shankar, and I've been a physical therapist at Magnolia Park for 16, 17 years, just retired. I distinctly remember when Reidland came to Magnolia Park as a temporary therapist, and I could see the soul in him, not just a co-worker, but somebody that has a soul to influence everybody in a positive way. So I went to him every day and say, Reidland, don't travel anymore. But he used to say, oh, but I had to. Generally, people who travel and do temporary work get paid a little more than people who are permanent. But I used to goad him every day and say, Reid, we need you. Why don't you stay here? And he said, no, I had to pay student loans. I need to go after this assignment somewhere. But he finally felt the love from all the therapists in Magnolia Park. So, and then he decided to stay, and I think Sherilyn also found a good opportunity in Fixel. So it was amazing. He had such positive influence on all therapists. It is not easy to be a neurotherapist. For every 10 orthopedic therapists, there is one neurotherapist. And there are some of his colleagues here who are greatly accomplished and put their soul into work. Reidland was a silent leader at Magnolia Park. He never showed, he never preached anything, but silently he uplifted the whole therapy population there, both from the orthopedics and neuro side. Just like everybody said, he could do anything. He could do orthopedics, he could do neuro. And then he went and achieved the highest honor in neuro by becoming a board-certified neurological therapist. And I was ecstatic. I was so happy for him. I saw the seeds in him to be an excellent leader, an excellent therapist. And it was my dream that he would become a leader in the system and really spread that love through the whole, not only Magnolia Park, but through the whole rehab system. Healthcare is not an easy place to work. It can become very tiring with writing notes and treating numerous patients and all that stuff. He never showed any dissatisfaction ever in his life. He never said a single bad word to anybody. He never got frustrated and say, oh, I don't like this anymore. It's just the soul and the spiritual base he had. And now I understand more where he came from. And I wish that all of us who either work or be his friends or family in the church, we all had to follow the same spiritual path and bring that spiritualness into the work so that we bring that work as a service to people rather than an instrument of earning money for yourself. I think one has to make that transformation. And I salute Reed and Sherilyn for bringing that aspect to the life to make it complete. How do you make life complete? You follow a spiritual path and then use that for every aspect of life. When you deal with your family, when you deal with your friends, when you deal with your patients, when you are spending a good life with the coworkers, if you have the spiritual base, you are complete. And I salute Reidland, I salute Sherilyn. I know she's going to be carrying this on, and she has the spiritual base. And with all of our love and support, she will do fine, and she will carry on the mantle. Thank you so much, Reidland, and thank you, Sherilyn. We love you.
I first heard about Reidland through a sermon, and I listened to his voice, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's got a way with words. He's a wonderful speaker. And at the time, I was becoming a leader for a group of Adventist students at the university, and I kind of needed guidance myself. So Reidland and Sherilyn were in the church, and I'd come to the services, and I started just watching them, and I began to really admire the two of them and how they, just operated as each other and as a group and by themselves and just with other people. And so one Sabbath, I walked up to them during lunchtime, and I was like, I just sat down right in front of them. I was like, I want to do a Bible study with you too. I want to spend time with you guys and get to know what it is that, you can show me to, get me to be wherever you guys are in your spiritual walk. They are amazing. They were an amazing group of people that looked after all the youth in this church. They became like surrogate parents to me, and I would often say that they are my parents, and even though we're pretty close in age, but it's okay. They were still my parents because they cared for me the way that my parents would care for me. And my parents wouldn't have to worry because I had Sherry and Reidland here with me in Gainesville. So I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful to have gotten to know them, to have met them, to met Reidland, and every time I think about him, a smile just comes across my face because that's what was always on his face. It was just that big smile and his infectious laughter that just brings joy to my life still. And every time I think about him, that's all I think about. The last time that we got to spend time with each other, I had come down randomly and I came to see them, and I saw Sherry, and I gave her a hug, and she held me as close as she usually does. And then I walked up, and Reidland spotted me and just like gave me the hugest, biggest, warmest bear hug that anyone could ever give, and was just rocking me back and forth. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. He's just so, his hugs were amazing, and his smiles were amazing. He's a warm light that continues to light up in my life. And so it's still a shock, and honestly, I don't believe it, and I'm probably not going to believe it for a very long time. But Reidland, I can say with a matter of fact that he was a man after God's own heart. And we are so blessed to have gotten to know him in this time. So I thank God for his life, his ministry, his impact. He was intentional in every single relationship that he had, and it was worth it. Look at all these people who care so much about him. From all these people are saying, from tennis family, from PA family, from OT, and then the church family, all these different families that he had built in his lifetime. He is an inspiration. And I'm just so glad, so glad that I got to meet him. So I'm grateful for that, and I'll hold on to that.
Okay, well, now it's on. So we heard from people that worked with Reidland. We heard people that played with him. Well, I only use the word play in the college. And we've heard people from the church who was inspired by him. But one thing I'm going to share that's a little bit funny. Has anybody ever used Reidland to help you move? I have never met someone who was so organized. He packed that van in a way that even things that I did not want packed disappeared. And I couldn't find it until I was unpacking. And I'm going, that's where it went to, Reidland. He just packed that van. I mean, I got a big truck for a reason. But somehow he got all my stuff, what's supposed to fill up that big truck, into half of the truck. So I had all this space left over. And I just appreciate how he and Sherry Lynn worked together. Of course, we had Craig and Caleb and me, but they were like moving. And I said, if anybody, well, it's too late now, but I was going to say, if anybody was going to move, recruit Reidland, because he can pack your truck very well, and hopefully when you move, you think of Reidland. How would Reidland pack this truck? And would it be packed in a way where I would have plenty of room to throw other stuff in it? If you know what I mean. Because I had to do 2 or 3 car loads on my own first, because I didn't think it was going to fit in the truck. And all this time, all that stuff could have fit in the truck if I had known that Reidland knew how to pack a U-Haul truck. If you find somebody like Reidland that can really pack and that's a good mover, hold on to them. Because maybe they'll be able to even, I don't know if Sherry Lynn is good with this too, to do interior decoration. You know? Unpack it, okay, now fix up my place so it looks nice, since you're so organized, you know? But that's one of the things I'm thankful for Reidland and Sherry, their help of helping you as a church member on the outside when you have other things that is going on that's not necessarily at work or in the church. But they were truly your friends that would gladly help you move. Now, if I had known they were moving, I would have helped them move. But of course, they would not need me because Reidland did all the work.
I had the unique pleasure of working with Reidland. As Patty said, I was one of them that brought them here, he and Sherry Lynn. And we worked so hard to keep them here once we started. I think each time one of the rotations, we had to redo the paperwork to keep them. And at our managers meeting, we're like, okay, where else can we keep them? They're not willing to take a permanent job left. And we would rejoice when someone would have a baby, because then we'd have another spot where we needed a therapist. We're like, yes. we just, they both just brought so much joy and completed the teams anywhere that they went. My husband also works at UF, and he works in HR where people go when they're hired. And I'll never forget this. Whenever people are hired into my department, my husband is kind of a card. When they go in there and he sees that they're going to my department, he always says, "Oh, that director's really rough." And Reidland looked him right in the eye and said, "Dude, she's been begging us since day one to stay. I think I got this." That's just, the joy that Reidland brought to all of us. You too, Sherry Lynn, we love you. But I wanted to give an example of a mom that I talked to this week. It was another UF employee whose teenage daughter Reidland was treating. And she had called me at the beginning of the treatment saying, "Is this going to be the right place for my daughter? She's got a unique, as Jane Carr said, a unique neurological condition, and I talked all about how brilliant Reid was. And so she called me when she found out that she couldn't see Reid, and she was pretty upset. And I had to just explain, you're going to see Allie, and she's very, very smart, and she knows everything, and she's a clinical specialist too. And what broke my heart was she said, yeah, but will she speak to my daughter's heart like Reid did? She said he took the time to figure out that she liked Marvel, the Marvel movies, and she said, I don't know if he knows them or if he researched it, but when she would, and I'm orthopedic guy, so you neuro people don't laugh at me, when she was like doing the things, turning her head side to side and looking over, he'd quiz her about all the Marvel characters, and he would weave it in, and he reached that 16-year-old girl's heart. And that's what this mom was concerned about, with who the next person that would be taking care of her daughter. And over the last week, when more and more people are hearing the news around the hospital, I've had so many people come up to me and say, hey, did you know that Reid took care of my dad? And he was wonderful. And I had a friend of mine who has nothing to do with the hospital, and she sent me a picture of her niece who's been a PT for a year or so now, and it was a picture of her and Reid in the parking lot of Mag Park. Reid was her very first clinical instructor, and she said, my niece is devastated. That she just went on and on about how much he meant to her in that first clinical experience, and that her niece, when she meets a new patient, she thinks all the time, what would Reid do? How would Reid connect with this person? So he may not be here with us, but the ripple effect of that man's heart and his goodness, it just reaches so far. So, thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. I want to allow anybody who's queued up to go, or anybody who really wants to say something. How many do we have? We have a few over here, right? Okay. All right. That whole row. Blessings. And one over here. Okay. Let's for the sake of time, because we want to, there's more other things we want to do. Let's go ahead and, it was Wida. You're the last one, right? You raised your hand, and then Jeannie over here. Okay, wonderful. So we'll get this side, and then, so we'll get the right side, and we'll jump over to the left side, and then we'll move on to what's next.
Just real quick, I'm Ludo. I was his immediate supervisor, and I think we all can agree that he was an example to us in many ways. I hate to blow your bubble, but he twisted his wrist playing volleyball, and he came to tell me he was never playing volleyball again because tennis was his main love. And I will give you a secret, while he got that good, because he would walk around the clinic from his patient to go get some water or whatever, and he'll be like, out of nowhere, he'd just go by himself. At least 10, 20 times a day, so please work on that.
Yeah, I can echo that, because I worked with him on the neuro side, and he was always practicing either his tennis swing or his golf swing, so I can attest to that. And when someone else said about how he was so good at things, I would look over, and the guy's juggling tennis balls too. I'm like, what else is the cure for cancer coming next week too? He just did everything well, and we started at the clinic about the same time at Mag Park, and I was new. I had been an inpatient for about 15, 16 years, and he really helped me with the transition, because I just didn't know the outpatient system, and if it was a therapy question, he knew it. If it was a computer question, he knew it. I mean, I think he would just get tired of my questions, but we just kind of instantly connected. I mean, I think the ortho people could probably attest to this. They'd look, because we have our little section in the neuro world, and we'd just be over there and we're laughing. We're just laughing all the time because all we do is play games with the patients. And we really, and Autumn is my other partner too, and we would just have a good time all the time, and we were constantly laughing, but somehow we kept it professional, and we helped to connect. And one of the things that Reed really helped me with is he really was quite the teacher. I mean, I thought I was a pretty good clinical instructor, but he just really took the time with his students, and he would sit down and he'd give them lectures, and he would give them hands-on practice, and it's something I started to do with my students as well. But we also had a fun side too. One of our favorite things we would enjoy doing is taking Autumn's camera on her phone, and we would run around the clinic, and she's probably got about 200 selfies between Reed and I, and we'd see who could get the most selfies, and we would go to every therapist, and if the patient would agree to it, we would take patients of the pictures with the patients. And so she always said when she leaves, she's going to have a slideshow of all of our selfies we would do. So those are really good pictures we have. And real quick, one of my other real favorite memories is people would always at the clinic see us. Reed and I would have this little spot that we'd go to at the park, and we would walk with our little lunch boxes and our lawn chairs, and we would go underneath a tree, and that's where we would eat our lunch for the hour. And Autumn would come in, and it'd just be the three of us, and then Linda, she started when she could come in, she would join us as well. And he always would say that was his favorite part of the day. Just we would sit out there for an hour, and we would talk about anything we wanted to. If we had a difficult patient or a difficult case, we would talk about it. We would talk about our weekends. We would talk about our families. He would always listen to me talk about my daughters, and which one had dating problems, and which one had and which one would sleep all the time, and which one was going to school, and college applications. But we would just talk about anything, and we would talk about his church, and he would tell us all about the sermons he was giving, and the work he was doing with college students. He would tell us about the different classes he was teaching, and it was just such a great time. That's probably the biggest thing I'll miss with him. We would just sit and talk, and it was just easy, and it was probably and he always said it was his favorite part of the day. It was my favorite part of the day. It was just, three friends out there just sitting and talking about life, and it was just one of the most special times. And one of our co-workers said he had the heart of a servant, and I really think that was true. I mean, he just gave of himself no matter what, and he never asked in return. When I did house remodeling, he did come over. He wasn't so great with the remodeling process, I will tell you that. He had a hard time getting baseboards off and pulling up carpet, but we got it out. But he was always there, and in the short time we got to know each other, I think we were pretty close friends, and he was probably one of the closest friends I've had, and will always remember and always cherish my time with him. So.
Hi everyone. For those who work with Reidland, I'm Andral. I love the way you always call me Andral, because we're both from the same place. And I always make joke with him. I always say to him that he's the wash-off Haitian, and I'm the authentic one. We always joke like that, and I knew that there was something special about them when my wife clicked with Sherilyn on the first time we met. My wife is an introvert. To me, I always say she's an extreme introvert, and the fact that she was able to connect right away with Reidland and Sherry, I knew there was something special about those. And since then, we became so close. we talk about everything. We talk about books. We talk about history. We talk about Bible. We always bouncing things from, off each other. And whenever we're playing sports, we always try to play against each other because it's more fun like that way. I talk trash to him, and he throughout the whole time, he's having a big smile on his face, and bouncing things back off me, and it was always fun, playing against each other, because that's the way we want it to be all the time. When I got the whole news, I was so confused. In December, I remember when I lost my biological brother in an explosion. Reidland and Sherry, they were there for us. They were there for us. And, they've always been there since the time we met them. And we had so many plans together. One of them was he was supposed to teach my daughter's piano. That was one of our plans together. And we had so many songs we wanted to sing together. I had a list of them. And we were like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You play the piano and I'll sing. And we're like, yeah, we'll do it, let's do it. And we started practicing some song. And one of the songs we never got a chance to practice, and that was on our list, was this song. And that's the song that, it's a quote from Charles Spurgeon that was made into a song. And we had that on our list to sing. And when the whole thing happened, it was something we could not understand. But the thing in the song is what actually helped me, and I'm praying that it will help Sherry and the rest of the family as well, is that the part of the song said, God is too wise to be mistaken. God is too good to be unkind. So when you don't understand, when you don't see his plan, when you can't trace his hand, trust his heart. He sees the master plan. He holds our future in his hands. So don't live as those who have no hope. All of our hope is found in him. We walk in present knowledge, but he sees the first and the last. And because of our hope and our belief, I take courage in these words. And I pray that we all can take courage in these words. That God knew everything. He is too loving, too kind. If he allowed this to happen, he will also give us the strength. I will miss seeing my brother for the rest of my time here, but I know I will see him again. So if we stay faithful, because I know he was faithful, if we stay faithful, we'll see him again. And that's our hope.
I want to say, for the little time that I knew him, I remember we were driving to his house. He invited us for lunch that Sabbath, and we was driving out there. It was kind of scary for me because it was my, I didn't have much experience of driving, but I was driving. But when we reached there, it was a joy, we got a tour to his house, and, we head to the back of the yard where we walk out the land, and we just taking pictures. We were looking at some grapes that was mowed down, but he didn't know it was grapes. And Felicia was telling him that all these they are grapes. You need to, make a bank, and that these grapes can come alive, that you can get them to eat. And, he said he's gonna look into it. We were looking at dandelion roots and all different type of herbs in the yard. What really, inspired me was the food at the house. They eat so, healthy, and I was looking at the nuts in the jars, because I think about probably 15 jars of nuts was just on the shelf, and I was just, I want to eat like this. I want to, when I diagnosed with my cancer, his wife and him, we form a circle, and he laid his hand on me, and he prayed. He prayed with all his heart, and that's where, I feel that, his work on earth is ended, and let's not question God, because he called him home. And I can remember I walk in the back of the yard, there was a shed there with two dryer, a washer and a dryer, and I said, I need this washer and dryer, but I don't know if I'm gonna get the apartment that I was, but I said I want it. And when I get it, I called them and I said, hey, I get the apartment and I need a washer and dryer. And he said, let me ask my wife. Well, my wife asked my husband about it, so they, in no time it was at my house. And I just want to say, be strong, Sherilyn. Just keep the faith and know that God never give us more than we can bear. He give him 36 years of life, and he live it. And let us all take a page from his book and live that life that God wanted us to live, and be faithful. This is my few words. And I'm going to surely miss them. I remember when Felicia called me and said, they find Reidland unresponsive. And I was like, what? And then there's another text came in, like probably about 15 or 30 minutes, I don't know, and said he passed. And I said, you're lying. No, he can't, But, when I go down on my knees and I pray and I say, God, give us strength. And help us, Lord, to live our life that pleases you, that when death comes, we can be all ready. Let us be ready, church. Amen.
Okay. My name is Brent Mays, and I'm one of the members here. And I had gotten the news Wednesday as I was at school. Taking some health classes, and it was a big stun to me because Reidland is just 3 years older than I am, and he's athletic and fit, as you know, and always doing either volleyball or tennis, running around, hanging out with the college kids, and so it was quite a shock to me. But the one thing about Reidland that was always big to me, and it's funny that you mentioned, Andrel, that your wife is an introvert, because you probably have noticed that I'm one of the biggest introverts of the church. And so Reidland would always walk by the church, whatever he was doing that day, either speaking or doing AV or whatever it was, if he saw me, he would always stop for a moment and ask, hey, Brent, are you doing okay today? He would always, no matter the day, no matter what was going on, stop for a moment and just say, hi, how are you today? And so, for me, for somebody that's always reserved, for somebody that people sometimes might look at as strange because maybe I don't reach out to people, they don't reach out to me. But Reidland was always somebody that would reach out to me. And so, if I was coming into church and I was rushing around trying to help somebody and maybe my collar on my shirt was off and he noticed it, he would just run up to me and say, hold on, Brent, I'll fix something. And so he was a really, really cool guy that I wish that I had been able to know more. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, when we were all separated from each other, I didn't have the time to spend with Reidland and get to know him better. But one thing that I realized is that when he was speaking here a few times is that he mentioned that his job as a PT was his work, but his real job on earth, his real passion was ministering to people through his life. And so Reidland was what you would say in the Bible, as somebody else said, a man after God's own heart. He lived his life. He ministered to people through his life. He was always somebody that helped people, that cared for people, that reached out to people, that uplifted them. That's what I noticed in my short time that I got to know him. And it reminds me of something that my father said a long time ago, and that whatever you do in your life, whether you are highly educated, whether you work and you do good things in your life, whatever it may be, whatever you have, the biggest thing is that you have a relationship with God and that you show that relationship through the life that you lead. And so that was what I noticed that Reidland did. And so there's a song that's pretty unknown, and it's by Matt and Josie Minikis, titled Home. And it's a song about what it will be like one day when we all wake up in Jesus' presence, and we see all the loved ones that we had, and we see boundaries no more, that there are no more divisions, that we see everybody as a family together. And so what a wonderful day it will be that day.
I got more acquainted with Reidland and Sherry Lee in the last few months. Lynn, rather. I'm a Lee, and my sister's a Lynn. Sorry, Sherry. But I've noticed from the time that they came here that they were a couple that were on fire for Jesus. They were compassionate and caring about everybody they came in contact with. Yeah, a few months ago, I lost my pianist for the praise team. And Reidland is one of the people that is talented in so many things. He was talented in everything he tried, I think. And he stepped right in, and it became kind of fun because he was very creative with his music. And we'd come in for praise team practice, and he would have his own rendition of the things we were singing. And so he was kind of like our praise team director, and it was interesting, and it was fun, and we enjoyed it so much. And so when I got the news, it was just like somebody had taken away one of my best friends, because we became pretty good friends, he and Sherry Lynn and I. And I wish I could have had more time to spend with him, but I know that one day, when Jesus comes, we'll have a lot more time to spend together.
A few years ago, we went on a medical mission trip, and I got the chance to meet a young man named Loami Richardson. I think some of y'all might know him. He was our guest speaker. And in the Philippines, basketball is a big thing over there. So there's billboards of Steph Curry everywhere. And so Loami's a tall guy, and he's got a big beard, and he convinced all the kids in the village that he was Steph Curry's brother. And so every time we played basketball, the kids would pick him first, and they would look at me and they say, are you Jeremy Lin? Who's like the only Asian guy that ever made it to the NBA that was decent. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm Jeremy Lin, just pick me. So we played and became good friends. And when Reidland and Sherry first came here, Reidland made the effort to come find me and introduce himself to me. And he's like, oh, by the way, Loami says hi. And any friend of Loami's or any friend of mine is also a friend of mine. And we just kind of hit it off. We spent a lot of time together with the praise team, a lot of Friday nights and Sabbath mornings giggling behind the piano and making jokes. And it was kind of funny because Reidland would actually genuinely laugh at my jokes, which hardly ever happens, but he would actually laugh at my jokes. And a lot of times we'd end up wearing like the same thing to church, so it was kind of funny, him and Elijah and I. And I wanted to talk about how he impacted the folks that we both knew together. He really loves our kids. The last time I talked to him, we were in a bind because the person that was scheduled to do special music couldn't do it. And so I texted him. We were out of town. I texted him. I said, hey, we're in a bind. Do you mind doing special music for us this week? I think it was on a Wednesday. And he's like, yeah, sure. And the last thing he said was, please tell Lana happy birthday for me, because it was her birthday, and he remembered that because he just loved our kids so much. There's a video game called Super Smash Brothers on the Nintendo. I think some of y'all know it. You can choose like Mario or a Pokemon character, and it's like a fighting game. And so he and Elijah were talking a lot of smack between the two of them, and we were going to try to get a tournament going for the young people at church. But I just remember he was kind of, Elijah was only 7, but he was giving him no mercy at all. And he was like, if I use Pikachu, it's all over. I'm going to destroy you. And I was like, cover your ears, Elijah. This is about to get crazy here. But it was good, and it was good that he was willing to kind of, put him in his place a little bit. So it was kind of cool. And then I think for y'all, y'all might know. So Reidland and I have a mutual patient, a young man with Down syndrome. I work in bone marrow transplant, and I remember the day that we sent him down to the ER with a stroke alert, and I remember wondering, is he going to make it? And if he does, he's got a long road ahead of him. And I saw him a few months later, and every time I see him, he's like, oh, I know Reidland, and his parents like, I think you guys are friends, you guys go to church together? I'm like, yeah. And this young man would, every time he comes in, the first thing we'd talk about was Reidland. And like he said, how he just found a way to reach out to him in a way that a lot of folks couldn't. And he would always show videos, and of course Reidland had the towel on his neck, like he said. And he was, I remember the day that he showed a video of how Reidland had showed him how to dribble a basketball again. And it was always, he always talked about Reidland, and it made me feel a little bit cooler knowing Reidland because he loved Reidland so much. And at the end of each visit, it was always like, hey, I'm going to see Reidland tomorrow. I'm going to see Reidland tomorrow. And so that was like really special to see his recovery process and seeing that Reidland got to be part of it, and we would talk about it, on Sabbath mornings. The other thing about tennis, I like you guys said, I didn't realize how much he loved tennis. You can ask Helen. I'm very persistent at inviting folks to events, and if they say no, I'm like, don't worry, I'll get you next time, and I keep inviting until I break their spirit, and they come. And so I remember Andral and Melvin and I were trying to convince Reidland to go ride bikes with us on Sundays for triathlon training. We're like, hey man, you're really fit, let's ride bikes together. And he's like, no, I'm gonna go play tennis on Sundays, that's my tennis day. I'm like, don't worry, we'll get you later. So every Sabbath for like 2 months, hey, you wanna play, or you wanna go for a ride? And he's like, no, I'm gonna play tennis. And finally, he actually broke my spirit, so I quit asking him to ride bikes, because he was really serious about his tennis. And he was just such a good guy. He just filled in anywhere and everywhere that was needed at church. It was a big part of the community and a big part of our lives as well. And we'll miss him a lot, as all of y'all will as well.
Good evening, everyone. I had so much to say as regards Reidland. He meant a lot to me in different ways. Of course, others are saying he's just a few years younger, just a few years older, but he was almost half my age. And yet he meant so much to me in teaching, the teachings, just being the person that he was. I've had experiences here, like in the gym, where my leg gave way or my ankle gave way, and it's late night. It's at 11 o'clock, and how am I going to drive home? And there was Reidland. He attended to me, did whatever he needed to do with my ankle. And I think that night, though I didn't drive, he drove. There have been other incidents like that, or if I'm going home, because I live in Newberry, not far from him, so sometimes they would wait for me. So, because I don't do well driving at night, so they would wait for me so that I could drive behind, and they'd be my light. But those are not that serious. I do remember this young man in terms of his, what I call his attitude of excellence. When he did the last seminar, And I would come. I was here every evening. And every time I saw that young man stand up, I just said, such excellence. That's all I could say. His presentation, his attitude, his mannerisms, his commitment, his preparation. I'm retired, but and I loved teaching. But when I saw that young man, it's like, I want to do it again, like he did it. I was really inspired by the seminar he gave, and I won't ever forget because, as I said, he was almost half my age. So I have a thing that says you don't have to be sick to die, but we need to be healthy to live. And so what he's taught me, what he's taught us, has really challenged me in terms of, even now, how I live. I'm trying very hard to sleep early, but that was one of the major challenges too. But in addition to those, what struck me a lot with this young man was not just him, but Reidland and Sherilyn. As ministers, as servants, I sat whenever we're part of the ministry, the health ministry, and I would sit just admiring them. I'm listening, yes, to what they're saying, but I would admire them as a ministering couple. And I've said to people that I've seen a lot of couples ministering, but I've never seen a couple that's ministered the way they minister. They just ministered as inseparable. They knew what each other was doing. They walked alongside each other. They spoke with and for on behalf of each other. And that's something that each of us need to learn, whether we're single or married, but once you're doing something as a team, they showed us how to work as a team. As we said in other instances, as I said before, he was a man of excellence. I remembered a few months ago, I had to sing, and the person who was to play for me wasn't able to do so. I found out the morning, I came, stood up maybe for a minute, because as we say, he was a man of excellence. And in no time, we had the song ready. And that came back to me today. I had wanted to sing it just to remember him. But the words are, how can I say thanks for the things you've done for me? I remember, Reidland, as I thought about the song, because the next line says, things so undeserved yet you gave to prove your love for me. The voices of a million angels could not express my gratitude. I remember the song, as I remember this song, I thought of Reidland, because I think that's how he lived his life, because of the things that God had done for him. I've never seen this man being haughty. I've never seen him take any credit for himself. I think every time he would say, to God be the glory, great things he's done. God bless.
All right. Thank you for everyone, all of your thoughts. It's been some of these stories I know or I've heard, but a lot from UF I have not heard, and that has blessed me richly. I'll go ahead and say mine very short. Just echo everything everyone has said. But one of my favorite stories of Reidland was So Saturday morning, it's my job to preach, right? I got among other things, but if I'm going to be out of town or something like that, you get someone to fill in. And Reidland was always my go-to guy, except there was one morning I woke up. Actually, I think I didn't even sleep that night. I was so sick that night, and I was like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. And I finally lost that battle at like 7 in the morning. So I called Reidland, and I said, Reidland, I need you to do me the biggest solid ever. And I don't know how, you just don't do that. Like, you just don't throw somebody out there. And he was like, no, I got you. And I watched online, and I was like, you know what? That was better than what I would have done anyway. So it's probably for the best that I stayed home. As a pastor, pastors, we all talk, and for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a little insight and kind of like how our denomination works a little bit. So someone before mentioned a pastor before me, Pastor Grasso. So what's usually common practice is like a pastor will stay at a church here for like 5 to 15 years, and then they'll kind of move them somewhere else. So pastors move, and then so you'll hear pastors when they get together say like, it took 3 rotations before I got a good church, and or something like that, where I finally fit in and I felt like everything was clicking and all of that. This is my first church. I am very young, as you guys can see, and I have a great head elder, and I had Reidland, and so I would go and I would talk to all of my colleagues who were crying, boo-hooing, because they were having a hard time. And I said, yeah, you guys just don't have Reidland. Like, you don't have an OJ. Like, it must be tough. And that was I really liked talking and sharing idea. Reidland and I had a lot of plans, and we're still going to go through with them. That's the legacy, and we're gonna see them through. But they say being a pastor will have its hard moments, and I knew that, but I just didn't know it was that was like the worst, up to this date in my life. I've never received such bad news. And it's been really rough, So this has been it's been a blessing to just hear all of the good and remind myself of all the good that he's done, and just a better person because of him. So I'm going to invite Sherry Lynn up. She wants to say a few things, and then what we're going to do when she's done, or if anybody else in the family wants, when the Bradys are done, what we'll do, there's going to be like a video. It's a slideshow, right? A bunch of pictures, and so at that point, there's a lot of pictures. So if you would like to, it's a good time to kind of come up and speak to the family, give your condolences, and if you need to, the video's long, right? So you can do that, and then it's a good time if you'd like to, go home, and just letting you know while the video's playing, that's what you can do. You can make your way. So come up the middle. Probably the best way for this to work is if you would come up the middle, talk, and then there's an exit right over there, and it'll take you back out into the lobby. So I'm gonna pass it over to Sherry Lynn.
I'm just grateful for you guys. We didn't expect we would stay here, as you guys know. We're just so used to doing things on our own. We jump in, we jump out, we help where we need to go, and we move on to the next mission. That's what God gave us to do. Mission to mission. So coming here, we're just like, we're passing through. We're just city folk going through a small town, and we wouldn't know what to do if we were here. And God had such huge blessings for us. We never thought we'd fall in love with Mag Park, with UF Health. Every clinic we lived in, we worked for, was amazing. The people are great. We came from being burnt out in Orlando to a place that just loved us and supported us, and it's been a blessing and a fresh air, breath of fresh air, and because of Marisa, we figured out that there was tennis, and man, even before I got scheduled to play with her, he was already in. He was in. He went before I did, and I'm just grateful for that tennis family because it was our outlet, and I don't know what to say. Everyone's been so good because we. Reidland preached a lot in Orlando. We jumped around a lot. We didn't have much of a church family, and so coming here was exactly what we needed. We needed one church to stay put in and to know the people and grow with them, and that's what you guys have been for sure. Especially because you just let us do whatever, which is kind of crazy. You didn't know when you came up. I remember that first couple of weeks that we came in here, Reidland was eyeing that piano the whole time, and sometimes when there's nothing going on and it's just like silent, he just wanted to just jump on that piano. And one day I just said, just go do it. If they're not, they'll stop you. And he did. He went. He sat down where Melvin's at, and he's never left that piano since. He never did. That was his first love, this music. I'm just grateful because each one of you meant something to him. And just like what you guys said, he did everything that was genuine. He never did anything halfway. And I loved him for that. And it's going to be hard for me because we've done everything together for so long. We grew up in the same church. We've had the same friends who moved to Orlando together, got married, and just every adventure, every trip I forced him to take, every boat ride, even though he was seasick, I would drug him up and take him. He hated traveling, he hated nature, and I just praise God he loved it all eventually. But he was always by my side, always supporting me, and I supported him in everything. And I didn't expect this to happen, but I know that God is using this to make us to continue the legacy that he's leaving behind. And so I need each one of you to do that for me and with me. I do want to say one thing too, is that we're really city people, and coming here and him, God giving us the perfect house in the country was exactly what we wanted, but we had no idea what to expect. And God just gave us the best neighbors we could ever ask for. And I'm thankful for Doug and Vicki for teaching us to mow the lawn, how to start giant fires, you know, cut trees, and just learn a lot of stuff. And their love and knowing that they're near me now is very comforting to me. And I know they're going to be there just like all our other neighbors. And we just never expected this kind of love. And I'm just thankful because I know I have my family. But it's good to know that I have an extended family as well. So just thank you guys for being here. And you guys, I really wanted to do this for you guys because it wouldn't be fair. You guys have seen us day in and day out. But his celebration of life is going to be in a church probably 4 times as big as this one, because it's going to take that many people to try to fit of everyone else he's impacted throughout our lives. So, but just thank you.
So at this time, while the video's playing, You can, if you'd like I said, come up down the middle here and kind of hang a left. And as you hang your left, you can say your condolences, or you can sit and watch the video, whatever you'd like. Just know that this is a time that's free for you to do so. If I don't come back up here or you leave, I just want to say thank you for being here. This has been a huge blessing to us, so thank you.
Do it again.
Do it again? So we have to perform a fight. I'm leaving.
I wonder what this would look like during class.
Oh, yeah, okay. So,
I told Mom to stop being the middleman.
Go, Reidland! Woo!
Why? What happened? It's okay. It's okay.
Let them praise the name of the Lord, for he commanded, and what happened? They were created. Exactly. They were created. So God first creates the space for things to live in, and then God creates the being.
This is Reidland's way of picking blueberries. How much do you have in there? Okay. And it's always the curiosity of the black guy.
It is, always, always.
I think this is the end of one of the flooded ones.
Oh yeah, it's flooded right here. You can see it all the way.
Aww.
No, just like, yeah, you just see water on the bottom.
And there's always the other curious wife that goes after the curious husband that needs to go see what is he talking about.
Yeah, you can see.
Ooh, it feels so good over here.
Look how deep the water is. You have to come see it.
It's not that deep.
No, it is, because that's the handle. That's just impressive.
I think we're going to wear away the
Why is Reidland doing it?
I'm eating.
Her excuses, she's eating. I think I smushed Dyson. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
I smushed him against the